Are you right now, given what the president said after the signing of the Omni, that...
These are not people, these are animals. The President of the United States. Every day that you think you've seen it all, along comes another manifestation of why their policies are so inhumane and why we have to continue the debate, striving for bipartisanship with openness about what is at stake and what the choices are, and to be unifying in every way possible. Calling people animals is not a good thing.
He said we were murderers, rapists, drug dealers, and that you should be afraid of us, that we've come here to undermine America. So, I mean, he insulted us once again. So here's what I think. I think clearly the president wants a war against Latinos and against immigrants. And that's why he expressed himself that way. Let's remember, you might make that distinction between members of MS-13 and the rest of the Latino community and the rest of the immigrant community. I assure you that most of Americans don't make that distinction when he says we're animals. Just like most Americans don't make the distinction between the 90% of Latinos that are here in this country legally, citizens of the United States, and anybody else he speaks about. So when the President of the United States says Latinos, Mexicans are murderers, rapists, and drug dealers, that's the way people view me. That's the way that people view any of us that are of Latino descent. He knows that. He understands that. Even late at this juncture. But listen, don't take us for a free ride.
Well, look, that's not the kind of language I generally use to describe people. But in this case, I think there are a lot of people in our country who might agree with that characterization. This MS-13 gang is extremely violent. They're responsible for deaths in our country, for a number of violent crimes. So, look, if he had just been referring to undocumented immigrants generally, I think that would have been a lot more serious. But again, when it comes to these violent gangs, I think that a lot of their conduct is very violent and animalistic in nature.
I certainly think the worst of the worst, those gang members that are preying on our communities, ought to be taken out of our communities. And that's one of the issues that we have as sanctuary cities. We have to have all levels of law enforcement working together. But ultimately, if you're committing these violent crimes in our community, we want you out of here.